how did you come to Gentog?
Okay, so Richard went to Parkinson's Resource Center in Beaverton. And I had the opportunity to meet Marcy Jones. So we were chatting, and she was bringing her father, Jim, in there for the class. So we got chatting in the waiting room, and just kind of, she was just saying how are things going for you? How much help do you have in that? And I said, not nearly enough, for sure.
Yeah.
I said, I'm really kind of on my own. To take care of Richard, and I said it just, it's hard. It just is hard.
Yeah.
And so she told me about Gentog, and I came here. So Richard,
sorry to interrupt. So
No,
when
that's
you were
okay.
going to the Parkinson's place, did you, at that point, Richard could not be home by himself?
no,
Okay, so that was part of the driving force, is he couldn't be home by himself. Okay.
no, because the Alzheimer's started first, and that was 16 years ago. And he had to kind of transition out of his job, which was really hard for him. I was still working, so had some flexibility in my time, but I was still working and trying to take care of him.
What did Gentog provide for you then, for Richard and your relationship?
Most especially, one of the things that I think so lacking in society here in the United States is a respectfulness for our seniors. And part of what, as his Alzheimer's portion started progressing, was the fact that at home I was working, still trying to run a house, trying to take care of him, have a huge yard, 1/3 of an acre, very challenging yard to take care of. And so, like many caregiving families and many facilities, put people in a chair in front of a television set. And I didn't like doing that. He was an extraordinarily intelligent, remarkable man, and he deserved better.
Don't make me cry.
So Gentog gave him an opportunity not to be so isolated, to be able to socialize with other people at the various levels. He needed more than I could provide to him on a day-to-day basis. So Gentog became that opportunity to be in a caring, safe, loving environment. The other thing that's really important about models like what Gentog is the fact that, and so many facilities do not have this, is the balance and ratios of men to women.
Good point, yeah.
So at one point he had had a major fall result of the Parkinson's and I could not physically take care of him at home. So after rehab, he had to go into a memory care facility. And it was okay for the first few months, but like a lot of things, there were not as many men as there were women. And he wasn't able to engage, to be able to raise his hand and say, I need help. He didn't know to ring the care buzzer.
Yeah.
So he was an easy patient to ignore. And finally he just kept asking, when can I go home? When can I go home? When can I go home? And
But a question here, how was your health during this whole time? How was your health? What was happening with your body?
falling apart.
Yeah.
he was, when he went into the facility, he was 270 pounds. 9 months later, he was 225. We were able, after we brought him home, to provide good nourishment, to provide good care, and to provide the opportunity to come to Gentog 4 days a week generally.
Because you had to get him in a wheelchair, you had to put him in the car, you had to put the wheelchair in the trunk, you had to take the wheelchair out of the trunk, and then put him in and bring him in.
Absolutely.
That's a lot. It was hard on your back, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. And I'm still paying for that. Was a big guy, particularly as the Parkinson's advanced over the last 15 to 18 months. His ability to help himself more lessened by the month. So, but I think that the Gentog model is so important to families. So it isn't just the participant that comes day to day and has the opportunity to interface with other people with similar, sometimes more challenging, medical situations, and to know they're not alone in that. That it's okay for them to be where they are and to be able to participate to their best capabilities and to have quiet time here. There's a special room for people to be able to just step away for a bit and relax. And
how about friendships? Do you think Richard developed any friendships?
Oh, yes. Yes. And very much so with Roger. Mm-hmm. Very much so with Kathy. The staff here is so amazing. Each one. But he loved being able to go to mealtime. Mm-hmm. He always had a good meal here, and one of the things that is done well is it's not big school type cafeteria tables, and that sounds like a trivial issue, but for most of the people have some type of cognitive I hate to use the word disability, but they have cognitive issues. And so the fact that mealtime here is a smaller grouping, people sit at different tables, so they're having interactions with different groups of people at different times.
So when you walk in the door, what does it feel like when you walk in the door? Does it feel like an institution, or does it feel like home?
It feels like home.
Yeah.
Always has. And even still for me. Richard passed 3 months ago, and I think this is an important piece, is he was here participating and interacting and socializing and being happy up till 2 weeks before he passed away.
Yeah. And that's a good thing.
And it's a good thing, and it was so much a part of what allowed us to keep him at home.
How are you moving on with Richard being gone? How's that been going?
Not as well as it probably should. See, I'm going to start crying. I'm used to being extremely busy. And our daughter says the same thing because she was here the better part of the last year and a half of Richard's life. And I asked her, I said, well, what is it that you miss most? She says, besides your coffee? And I said, yeah. She says, Mom, I miss the schedule. I miss our schedule. We had a rhythm to our days of taking care of Dad and getting up and getting him fed and to the bathroom and dressed for the day and, to have a laugh or two, music in the house. He loved country music, and especially...
Did it give you a purpose?
Absolutely.
You do.
I've had a purpose the majority of my life as a caregiver, frankly, since I was 13 years old. So this is a very new chapter for me. Very scary in many ways, and very, very exciting in others.
Right.
I'm blessed with good family. I'm blessed with Gentog that continues to embrace me.
So should people,
Things that we don't think about in the daily lives of individuals, of what they're dealing with and being sensitive to those specific needs. And it's one of the things that Gentog does very well.
do you think people when they come here start out scared?
Absolutely. It's like taking your 2-year-old for the first time to daycare.
Mm-hmm.
And they go, you're leaving me. And then when you go to pick them up, it's like, do I have to go home?
Yeah.
And it's much the same thing. Of a lot of times I, as other caregivers, come here and spend time because we get to know not just our loved one, but other loved ones here. And
It's a family.
it's a family. It is an amazing, extended, welcoming, loving family.
It's funny how. Are there any steps you regret, or were every step you took a necessary step to move forward?
It was, every step forward was necessary. It was very, very hard. I think for most families.
You think it's going to be easy, but it's not easy.
No,
It's
no,
gives me-
it's not.
Yeah, it's not.
It's
easy.
not.
And you can't change that.
No, I think the hardest thing is to learn to be able to reach a point of reconciliation with the situation. Again, one of the things that helps here and with the caregiver group that Gentog has started is to understand you're not the only one.
Right.
I don't cry very often.
Well, it's good to cry. I mean,
It is good to
it's
cry.
Good to cry.
It is good to cry. But I think that the support that we have as family members is so, I will say profound because I don't know of a better word. So often, not only is our loved one isolated, but we are as well.
Right. Very good point. Because if they can't go anywhere, you're not going anywhere. That's an excellent point, Karen.
But it's also particularly with people who have dementia, I will say.
I think people don't look at life sometimes. It's like, okay, it is a new chapter. You're a book. You're a journey.
Yep.
And so now you're entering into a new chapter. So you can either embrace it. But it's okay to be scared, but you can either stay home and stay in your house and hide, or you can embrace it and go out and just see what happens. What's the worst thing that can happen to you?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm lucky to have good friends, good former colleagues that I worked with for years, that we still get together. I have amazing neighbors, and I have Gentog.
yeah, you are surrounded by a lot of love. You have to also recognize what you have and see it, and you do see what you have, which is really important. You choose to find the joy and the good part.
Yes. Yes.
And the sad.
Yeah.
If you had to sum us up in a few sentences, what did Gentog mean to you and your husband?
Gentog equals an amazing commitment to caring.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean that with all sincerity.
We know that. We know that. We all know that, you know?
We're not going anywhere.
I know. And you can't get rid of me too easy.
No, we wouldn't try.
I love you guys.
We love you too.